Breaking news, Viking Nation. The first revelation is about to detonate inside US Bank Stadium, and it's spreading shockwaves all the way to Soldier Field, where our Warriors march tomorrow night. 5 earth-shattering updates have emerged in the last 24 hours that could completely redefine everything you thought you knew about this Monday Night Football battle against those Chicago Bears. We're talking about injury chaos that has coaches scrambling, a legendary hero conquering his greatest battle, and lineup decisions that could make or break J.J. McCarthy's debut under the brightest lights in football. Each of these bombshells carries the power to shift the entire trajectory of our 2025 season. And trust me when I say this, you're not ready for what's coming. The first shock alone has Kevin O'Connell making impossible decisions just hours before kickoff, while another story will have you jumping out of your seats cheering for pure Viking greatness. If you believe in the purple and gold more than you hate those green and yellow frauds in Green Bay, smash that subscribe button right now, because tonight we're diving deep into the chaos that's brewing in Minneapolis. And listen closely, as shocking as that intro was, the next revelation cuts even deeper into the heart of this franchise. Saturday's final injury report dropped like a hammer on Viking Nation, and the news is absolutely devastating for Monday night's primetime showdown in Chicago. The Minnesota Vikings released their official injury designations for the Bears game, and folks, this is not the news we wanted to hear just 48 hours before J.J. McCarthy's historic NFL debut. Harrison Smith has been listed as doubtful, with what the team is calling a personal health matter that's kept him sidelined since August, while our all-pro left tackle Christian Darrisaw sits questionable, with a knee injury that robbed us of his brilliance for half of last season. But here's where it gets even more brutal. 2 players are completely out for Monday night, including backup running back Xavier Scott and defensive lineman Elijah Williams, both dealing with injuries that couldn't heal in time for the season opener. This injury report reads like a nightmare scenario for a young quarterback making his first start on the road in prime time against a division rival that's hungry to prove they're back in contention. Smith's absence would be catastrophic because he's not just a safety. He's the quarterback of our secondary, the veteran leader who calls the shots and makes sure everyone's in the right position when Caleb Williams starts slinging the ball around Soldier Field. Without Harrison back there, we're looking at Theo Jackson potentially making his first career start in one of the most pressure-packed environments in the NFL. And that's just the beginning of our problems, because the offensive line situation is hanging by a thread with Darrisaw's status still up in the air. The fact that both of our most crucial veterans are dealing with question marks less than 72 hours before kickoff has Kevin O'Connell walking a tightrope between being aggressive and being smart with his players' health. The Bears are already licking their chops knowing they might catch the Vikings at their most vulnerable moment with a rookie quarterback and potentially compromised protection schemes. Can you imagine if J.J. McCarthy has to make his debut without both his blindside protector and his defensive field general watching his back? Chicago's pass rush is already drawing up blitz packages specifically designed to rattle a young quarterback. And now they might be facing a Minnesota team that's missing 2 of its most experienced leaders when the lights are brightest. But if you think that injury report was the most emotional story of the week, what comes next will have every single Viking fan standing up and cheering with tears in their eyes. This next story transcends football. It's about courage, it's about fighting the greatest battle of your life, and it's about a Minnesota legend showing the world what it truly means to never give up. Randy Moss has officially completed his cancer treatment, and on Thursday, our Hall of Fame hero got to ring the bell at Atrium Health Levine Cancer Institute in Charlotte, North Carolina, marking the end of his chemotherapy journey and the beginning of his full recovery. This is the moment that every Viking fan, every football fan, and every human being who believes in the power of fighting back has been praying for since December, when Randy first revealed his bile duct cancer diagnosis. The image of Moss ringing that bell, surrounded by the medical team that helped save his life, represents everything that makes this organization and this fan base special. We fight for each other, we never quit, and we celebrate every single victory, no matter how big or small. Randy underwent a 6-hour surgery to remove parts of several organs, endured months of chemotherapy and radiation, and faced down stage 2 bile duct cancer with the same determination and fearlessness that made him the most explosive receiver in NFL history. When he spoke to the hospital staff on his final treatment day, Randy's words captured the gratitude and strength that defined the Viking spirit. I want to thank everybody at this hospital for welcoming me to be a part of their family. Y'all do a great job at taking care of people. I thank you all. God bless you. The timing of this news couldn't be more perfect, because as JJ McCarthy prepares for his debut tomorrow night, he's carrying the inspiration of watching one of the greatest Vikings of all time conquer his most difficult opponent. Randy Moss didn't just beat cancer. He showed every current Viking what it means to face impossible odds and come out stronger on the other side. His journey from that devastating diagnosis around Thanksgiving 2023 to ringing the victory bell in September 2025 proves that the Viking mentality isn't just about football. It's about fighting through the darkest moments and emerging as a warrior. ESPN announced that Randy will be returning to Sunday NFL Countdown on a full-time basis this season, which means we get to watch our legend not only survive cancer, but get back to doing what he loves most. Talking about the game that made him immortal. The fact that Randy completed his treatment just days before the 2025 season opener feels like a sign from the football gods that this year is going to be special for everyone connected to the Minnesota Vikings. And if you thought that emotional victory was the peak of this week's chaos, the next story might just be the most crucial factor in determining whether JJ McCarthy's debut becomes a fairy tale or a disaster. Monday night's game is shaping up to be the ultimate test of depth and resilience for a Vikings team that's already dealing with more uncertainty than any coaching staff wants to face in week 1. The injury concerns surrounding our offensive line have created a domino effect that could completely change how Kevin O'Connell approaches this game plan, especially with a Christian Darrisaw's status still hanging in limbo, just hours before kickoff. If Darrisaw can't go, we're looking at Justin Scholes stepping into the most important offensive line position on the field. Left tackle, the guardian of JJJ. McCarthy's blindside against the Bears pass rush that's been scheming all summer to make life miserable for rookie quarterbacks. School is a veteran backup who started 17 games in his 5-year career. But there's a Grand Canyon-sized difference between his 69.2 Pro Football Focus grade last season and Darrisaw's elite 81.4 grade that ranked him 11th among all tackles in the league. The Bears know exactly what they're getting if School has to start. A competent but limited tackle who doesn't possess the athleticism or pass protection instincts that make Darrisaw one of the most feared blindside protectors in the NFL. Chicago's defensive coordinator is probably already drawing up exotic blitz packages designed to attack the left side of our offensive line, knowing that a rookie guard in Donovan Jackson and a backup tackle would represent the weakest link in our protection scheme. But here's what makes this situation even more nerve-wracking. JJ. McCarthy's development and confidence in his debut could be severely impacted if he's constantly feeling pressure from his blind side and unable to trust his protection. Young quarterbacks need clean pockets and time to read defenses, especially in hostile road environments like Soldier Field, where 60,000 Bears fans will be screaming on every single snap. The thought of McCarthy having to deal with the unblocked rushers or hurried throws because his left tackle got beaten could turn what should be a celebration of his arrival into a nightmare scenario that haunts his confidence for weeks. Kevin O'Connell has spent months building an offensive system designed to protect his young quarterback and put him in position to succeed. But all of that careful planning goes out the window if the most important position on the offensive line becomes a liability. The fact that we're even having this conversation 24 hours before kickoff shows just how fragile the foundation can be for a team built around developing a rookie quarterback into a franchise centerpiece. Can you imagine if McCarthy's first NFL memory becomes getting blindsided by a Bears pass rusher because his protection broke down on the biggest stage in football? But hold on, as shocking as that offensive line uncertainty is, the next revelation is even more explosive, and it involves the heart and soul of our defense. The Harrison Smith situation has evolved from concerning to downright terrifying for anyone who understands how crucial veteran leadership becomes in high-pressure situations like Monday Night Football. Harrison Smith being listed as doubtful. And for this game isn't just about losing a talented safety. It's about potentially losing the most important communicator and field general on the defensive side of the ball when we need experience and steady leadership the most. Smith has been dealing with what the team diplomatically calls a personal health matter since August. And while the Vikings have been tight-lipped about the specifics, the fact that he missed significant practice time and remains doubtful for the season opener tells you everything you need to know about the severity of the situation. This is a player who has started 174 games in his career, made 6 Pro Bowls, and served as the defensive quarterback for Brian Flores' complex scheme that relies heavily on communication and split-second adjustments. Without Harrison back there calling out formations and making sure everyone's aligned correctly, the Vikings defense could look completely lost against a Bears offense that's built around pre-snap motion and misdirection designed to confuse inexperienced defenders. The ripple effects of Smith's absence go far beyond just replacing one player. It means Theo Jackson, who's never started an NFL game, could be thrown into the fire on Monday Night Football against Caleb Williams and a Bears receiving corps that's hungry to prove they can compete in the NFC North. Jackson has talent and potential, but there's no substitute for the kind of veteran savvy and game management skills that Smith brings to every single snap. The Bears coaching staff is probably salivating at the thought of attacking a Viking secondary that's missing its most experienced leader, knowing they can create confusion with bunch formations and pick plays that might overwhelm a rookie safety making his first career start. But here's what makes this even more devastating. The timing couldn't be worse for a defense that's already trying to integrate new players and perfect the complex schemes that made them so dominant last season. Brian Flores' defense is predicated on disguising coverages and bringing pressure from unexpected angles. But all of that coordination breaks down if you don't have a veteran quarterback in the secondary, making sure everyone's on the same page. The thought of facing Caleb Williams and the Bears without Harrison Smith patrolling the back end is like going into battle without your most trusted general. You might have all the weapons you need, but you're missing the leadership and experience that turns good players into a championship caliber unit. The fact that Kevin O'Connell and the coaching staff are still listed Smith as doubtful rather than ruling him out completely suggests they're holding out hope for a miracle. But with less than 48 hours until kickoff, time is running out for our defensive anchor to make his return. And if you think this was wild, the story only gets more dramatic from here, because the next chapter involves the kind of last-minute heroics that could save our entire season. But stay with me, because what comes next will flip the script in ways nobody predicted. And it centers around the one player who could turn this Monday night disaster into a triumphant comeback story. The Christian Darrisaw situation has taken a dramatic turn that has Vikings fans riding an emotional roller coaster just hours before the most important game in recent memory. After days of uncertainty and fear that our old pro left tackle might miss JJ, McCarthy's debut, Friday's practice report, delivered the news that every member of the Viking Nation was desperately hoping to hear. Darrisaw was upgraded to a full participant in practice, marking a massive step forward in his recovery from the devastating ACL injury that ended his 2024 season and left a gaping hole in our offensive line for months. This isn't just about one player getting healthy. It's about the foundation of our entire offensive game plan potentially falling into place at the most crucial moment possible. Kevin O'Connell has been cautiously optimistic about Darrisaw's progress throughout training camp, but seeing him participate fully in practice just 3 days before facing the Bears represents a breakthrough that could change everything about how we approach Monday night's battle. The fact that Darrisaw went from limited participation earlier in the week to full participation on Friday suggests that his knee is responding better than anyone dared to hope, and his conditioning and confidence are reaching the levels necessary to protect JJ McCarthy's blindside against Chicago's pass rush. But here's what makes this development even more incredible. Darrisaw isn't just returning from any injury, he's coming back from the kind of ACL tear that has ended careers and changed the trajectory of entire franchises. The fact that he's even in consideration to play just 10 months after suffering that devastating injury in Los Angeles speaks to his incredible work ethic and the world-class medical and training staff that the Vikings have assembled to support their players through these kinds of challenges. O'Connell has been clear that any decision about Darrisaw's availability will be made jointly with the player himself, emphasizing that they won't rush back their franchise left tackle unless he's completely ready to perform at the elite level that earned him a 4-year, $113 million contract extension just months before his injury. The coach's comments about Darrisaw earning the right to have this conversation through his dedication and preparation show just how much respect the organization has for